Hi, folks. How are you? Before we go any further with this podcast, just a little note to say, or a kind of asterisk, a little visual. I'm trying to make an asterisk sign with my fingers. If you're just listening to this podcast, and you should just listen to my podcast because this is a face for radio, as they say. But I'm trying to do a wee asterisk sign to tell you there's a wee note, there's a wee addendum to the thing tonight, but it's difficult to make an asterisk sign with your fingers. It's not just because I've got the microphone in my hand or because I've got big sausage fingers. I think it's just difficult to do an asterisk sign with your finger. This is why the asterisk branches of all the famous gangs, this is why the asterisk offshoots all ended up, they died out first. They were absolutely useless to them. You know, like the Pyru Bloods asterisk brotherhood, or the Crips asterisk branch somewhere, or the MS-13, their asterisk department. They all get early onset arthritis in their finger joints trying to make the gang sign for them, and they ended up they couldn't hold on to their guns, they couldn't hold on to their knives, and their baggies with the drugs. They were dropping that as well, so they couldn't make any profit to send upstairs to the high Hegians, and they couldn't defend their territory, so they had to go. All I'm trying to say is, before we go any further, just to let you know, I don't know the Hearts score. I don't know how Hearts got on at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock. That game's on live just now on the telly. It's getting played just now. I'm not paying any attention to it. So if I say something that doesn't seem to take into account the fact that Hearts have won or lost or drawn, it's because I don't know if Hearts have won or lost or drawn. I do know that Celtic won today. I'm talking to you on Saturday, so that's great. Thanks very much to our brothers across the city. We're trying to keep that title 41 in a row. We're 9 more to go. Let's even get to the 50. 50 years without the title leaving Glasgow, without leaving the old firm. Hands across the divide, totally united and try to keep it. And it's a really good favour for us as well, because it means we've got the top one of the 2 Conference League spots. We're getting more and more secure in that spot. Motherwell 4 points behind us now. We've got a game in hand on them. Just a point against the pesky Paisley Pandas would be fine. Tomorrow that would get us a wee bit further away from Motherwell. I also know that Scotland lost the old rugger union there, the Scotland's crofters and surveyors, losing to Ireland's private schoolboys at the rugby, the what do you call it, the Triple Crown. They call it the Triple Crown, don't they? The Triple Crown playoff match, if you like. So Ireland won that, but I don't know. Again, England are playing France right now in Paris. I have no idea who's getting the championship, and normally I wouldn't care. It's only because Scotland got to select. I do like watch the big internationals in the Rugby World Cup. It's just colours and league tables, and that always interests me. Really cheap the kind of logo they've got for it now. Men's Six Nations. M6N. I saw that. I watched about the Scotland game today. I kept getting drawn in. That's why your pod's so late. I kept getting drawn in because I was just thinking, right, I'll just watch to see how they get on. Oh, they've conceded a try and it get converted within like the first minute of the game. That's fine. I'm just going to go and I'll go and take this pot. Oh no, they've equalised. That's fine. Every time I thought Ireland were going to run away with it, Scotland come back. So I thought I better watch this. I better watch, just be a bit patriotic and that kind of stuff. And of course, they just get gubbed in the last quarter of an hour, which meant I neither saw a Scotland victory or got to get the pod done. It's just the way the fortnight's been gone. So I don't know how Hearts have got on. I do know how Celtic have got on, and this podcast is back to front because I've done it's the memory or whatever. It's a bad camera. I'm going to get new stuff for next season. There's only 9 cup finals left. I've been late for every single one of our cup finals this season because we haven't played any cup finals. I've been late for every single game we've played this season in terms of some of them getting to the games, and certainly in terms of doing the preview pod. So continuing apologies for that, but you've only got 8 more instances after this of me being late to preview a Rangers match this season. And it's reverse. It's reverse because I've got the selfie mirror thing on to make this, give it a bit more memory. So it's not going out of sync as early because this is going to go on for a long time. This podcast, it's already off to a really slow start. George Hess music. I'm Dr. George. I make jazz simple so you can play more and think less. This gets sent to me today on the YouTube algorithm. Saturday the 14th, it gets sent to me in the YouTube algorithm. This video, it's only 6 minutes long, and the thumbnail, the title was Before Your First Jazz Jam, How to Sound Like You Belong. Before your first jazz jam, how to sound like you belong. That's fantastic. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. It's not the coolest thing I've ever heard, but it spoke to a need in me for things just to calm down and get mellow, and for me to feel a bit less bitter and a bit less bile. It's been frantic. It's been a terrible But 3 weeks really is the draw at Livingston, and then the way everyone went against Celtic in the league game, and then just 100 times worse, I would imagine, in the cup game last week, and then the fallout after that, just genuinely revolting stuff and making me feel really just. It's horrible. It's just been really horrible. So this thing comes in the day. The algorithm on YouTube sends it to me before your first jazz jam. How to sound like you belong. And I'll try and put it up. I'll try and put it up in the description below this video. But if I don't, it's George Hess Music. George Hess at George Hess Music. That's all one word. George Hess, Hess. American fella, and he was coming across like he's just not. I'm Dr. George. Make jazz simple so you can play more and think less. And he was doing it in a kind of whispering Bob Harris type voice, except American. Really cool. Really, really liked that. It was only 6 minutes long, and he was saying things like, when you're comping, don't fight with the pianist because you'll lose. When you're comping, don't fight with the pianist because you'll lose. He's got 10 fingers, you've only got 4. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds bloody magic. I want to be doing jazz. I want to be able to be in a jazz podcast or something. I wanted to be in there with Dr. George. I wanted a part of that. I wanted to get on that vibe today, and I didn't really know why, because I can't say I don't like jazz. I can't say I dislike it either, because it's one of the massive. It's like saying you don't like sport or something. There's so many different sports, and then so many branches within those sports. Jazz, massive variance in the world of jazz. So I don't really know a lot about music, but jazz is one of the kind of general headings of general genres of music that I probably know the least about. But this is just really cool. I just wanted that kind of stereotypical, being just ignorant enough to have a kind of harmless image of jazz in my head. I thought, yeah, it's cool, it's chilled, it's laid back, and Dr. George was playing along to that. It's going to be a long podcast. Yeah, I will talk about football at some point, but it's okay to hang over a couple of bars at the end of your solo. That's pretty standard. It's okay to hang over a couple of bars at the end of your solo. That's pretty standard. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds utterly fantastic. If I did a jazz solo, I'd be hanging over every bar in Glasgow. I don't. Is there a jazz clubs in Glasgow? I don't know. The only jazz club I know of is Ronnie Scott's. I'm down in Soho in London, and it might have been shut for 20 years for all I know. I remember Billy Mackenzie of the Associates doing a kind of residency there. He was there every night. It was on Radio 1 late at night, and it was fantastic. Torch song stuff going on. It might have been shut, as I say, for decades. Ronnie Scott's, I don't know. It's just not. Oh no, there's a place. I was in a jazz club, a jazz bar once, and the reason I remember it is because it was called Alexander's, and it was in Chester, of all places. It was in Chester. And I was in Chester when I was just probably late teens, early 20s, well over 30 years ago anyway. And it was you're still smoking in pubs. And I remember there was a guy sitting there who actually had the pipe and the Mauser and the big beard and that, and the patches, the elbow patches, the kind of corduroy elbow patches on his sports jacket thing. And I'm looking at, he probably had the kind of polo neck as well. I don't remember that much detail, but I just remember looking at him thinking, that guy looks really boring but really interesting, really weird but really cool at the same time. I kind of wish I was him. He's got a whole life going that I don't really understand. I didn't realise he was a stereotypical kind of jazz fan until I saw the Fast Show and nice, cool. Until I saw John Thompson doing all that stuff on the Fast Show. But I remember that was Alexander's, but that's as much as I know about jazz. But I was loving this today. I was watching. What is comping? What is it accompaniments or something like that? Is it 6 minutes long as well? I think that's what it was. I thought, I've got so much I need to say. I don't do these podcasts to make money or to make your life any easier. I mean, this is going to get uploaded, if we're lucky, 12 hours before the game against St Mirren kicks off. I've been doing this my whole life. I just need to get it out of my system before I can move on. I need it logged, I need it registered, I need it recorded. It's a diary. It just needs to, and there's been so much shit this week, in the past couple of weeks as well, and the political fallout, etc., from the game that I attended last Sunday. So many horrible things said about Rangers and so much characterisation going on. I just need to get this out, but I'm not looking forward to it. It's not pleasant. It's not the world I want. And I thought it's 6 minutes. I mean, it's a lifetime of learning, obviously, for Dr. George and the jazz thing. Any jazz musician obviously has got to go at it all the time. You can never switch off. It's a constant learning, really. You're learning on the job. You're learning your your whole life. Every day's a school day when it comes to the jazz, but 6 minute video, and you would love to listen to a six. You would love to, same as me. You'd love to listen to a 6 minute video. You're going to fucking sit there, it's an hour and 40 minutes, and you're in, okay? But it'd be great to do the jazz. It's a bit like, I suppose, like, Cream, didn't they? The Cream, Jack, Bruce, and Ginger. And Ginger Taylor and thing with Ginger Baker and Eric Clapton, they were like a jazz. They say that, didn't they? They say that amongst themselves. Really, jazz musicians who did rock. The Stranglers as well. They were a jazz band, weren't they? They ended up doing kind of punk and whatever, just to make money and that kind of thing. So I suppose I have heard jazz musicians just playing different stuff, but it's quite and just this whole thing about comping and the pianist is going to. I think the idea was, if the pianist can play much louder than you, because he's using all his fingers, you're obviously in a bass guitar or something. I don't know what it was, what instrument you're supposed to be playing when you're going along for your first jam session. Some of the advice was sensational, because I just thought, how cool to be in that situation. But that's much better than this old firm nonsense, this kind of animus and just it was horrific. That's much nicer being a jazz situation, just going along to a jazz jam. But I thought, no, maybe no. Because if you're having a bit of a fight with the pianist, it's quite a personal thing. If you put as much energy of your life into jazz, into playing jazz, as I put into football, as you put into loving football and loving Rangers and what have you, it's quite intense. It's actually much more personal. It's much more intimate and therefore more horrible, really. Because I know I was making the point during the weekend at my pod on Thursday about how the problem with the old firm is the familiarity breeds contempt, and it's just claustrophobic because we're playing each other 6 times this season. And the last time the First Minister got involved, it was Alex Salmond. I mean, he liked to get involved in everything, but it was 7 times we played each other in 2010, 2011 season, because you get replays in the Scottish Cup back then, and it ends up and there wasn't even any fans on the pitch. That was just a couple of players getting sent off. Oh my God! Let's have a statement from Butte House on that one as well. It's political football, but the reason it feels like, because we know each other too well, but I'd been in a jazz band, and the pianist, and this is all you can do. This is all you can do, and the guy's to try to outplay you, and he's trying to. Cause there's probably animus in every walk of life. There's the potential. You come up against wankers. And that's all there is to it. You just have to get through it the best you can. I think I've always felt as if the thing with at least we're in different grandstands. When we're at the games, we're in different stands. When we're at the games, I mean, we all went to different schools. That's the first thing that kind of drives us apart at the old firm. We had different schools, and then we've got the different acronyms that we're into, like IRA versus UDA, INLA versus KKK. Somebody was telling me the day that I was like the KKK because I supported Rangers and stuff like that. We've got various kind of secular and religious institutions that we're supposed to adhere to, both of them with their different kind of sexual crimes, sexual perversions, Prince Andrew and all that, Vatican stuff. It's all kind of really dodgy, but at the same time, if somebody says anything against it, you take it personally, you start defending this thing that's beyond it's just, we're into all that kind of thing, but it's not really true, is it? Because real life does this thing. I mean, you get the pitch. You're separated. So you're separated by the pitch as well. It's better than being in a jazz band. You're separated by the whole pitch in the park, and you've got stewards separating you as well. And if they can be asked, sometimes you get police in there. If they're around, the police will be in there separating you as well. So it's not really as intense as being in a jazz band when the pianist is starting to get a bit fucking oil the top of your comping, So I don't think we should think it's all bad. And in real life, you get pushed out of school and you get pushed out of these things. You have to go into the real world. Doesn't matter what school you went to. You've got to mix with folk for other schools. Oh my God, who support other Fitbit teams. Oh my God, how are we going to survive with each other? And you pretty soon find out that the real divide in society isn't religion or what Fitbit team it is. It's just wankers and normal folk. And it's just there's folk who are bigots no matter what area of life they come from. Just arseholes versus actually nice folk. Then there's folk who are kind of in between being total diamonds and Egypt's arseholes, but it just that's me. I'm kind of in between. I'm neither a kind of diamond or a total arsehole. I'm an arsehole, but in a nice way. Just do more harm to myself than anybody else. I'm a bit of an arse rather than affixing the whole suffix on there. I'm just a bit of an arse, but it's funny that the only kind of the only area, the only people in life, the only kind of social group that doesn't have any diamonds is Airdrie fans. How would you? Because they're total animals. My God, they're absolutely mental. Airdrie fans. I'm only joking, boys. Only joking. Section B. Love you guys. That's fine. But you find it in real life that the other folk are really lovely. Doesn't matter what team they support, what school they went to, and like that. A lovely person's a lovely person, and that's all there is to it. And that should be a good thing, isn't it? But I still managed to miss that. I still managed to incorporate that into making my recent Rangers supporting life even worse, because I get invited on Thursday into the company of lovely people. And one the guy is happens to be a Celtic fan, but more than anything else, he's a diamond. He's a great guy. Get invited into his company, and it was absolutely lovely. And I was there just sitting, and these people, apparently the people that he was hanging around with, they were gambling. They were gambling during the day on some sort of horse festival, and they were drinking alcohol by the pint. By the pint, they were drinking alcohol, and I thought, right, Alec, it's a different culture. You know what I mean? You've got to make the effort. You know, their customs might seem strange to you, but just see if you can get in and kind of suss it out and go along with it. And I managed to. I don't think I offended them. I pretended that I could do the pint thing as well. Strange, but I got on with it, and I'm sitting there with this amazing Catalan drummer in the Stuart Copeland style, and a couple of gentlemen, really, I'm sitting with, who had played football to a level that I could only bloody dream of. And it was an education listening to their stuff. I listened to that all night. I'm sitting with a Persian Frank Lloyd Wright expert. You know, it's just fucking unbelievable. And somebody from the Alexander Greek Thompson's kind of terraces and crescents of old Cessnock town, who was a preserver of monuments, a protector of culture, and a recorder of the blue, those in blue and white, who kind of parade our heritage from the listed Archibald Leitch facade of Ibrox Stadium past the kind of key part and dados of Cessnock's old tenements, grand old tenements, into the neutral space that is the Kensington. I didn't realise the Kensington's neutral. Like a child who thinks they're invisible when they cover their eyes. You know, I just thought, because I never go to the Kensington except on a match day, I just thought it's always a Rangers boozer. But I've been told by people who live in the area that compared to other boozers in the area, the Kensington's pretty much a neutral space when it comes to the football and what have you. And I thought, this is tremendous. And you're sitting, you get that, it's slowly you get that feeling. You know, they always say, like, if there's no arseholes in the company, you're the arsehole. It was like, there's no arseholes in the company. If, there's no thickos in the company, you're the thicko. I was definitely at one point I thought, architecture, I think it's maybe time. Frank Lloyd Wright, I think I'll slip in my wee anecdote, not my anecdote, but an anecdote I'd heard, I'd read somewhere, that when Mies van der Rohe came over to Chicago, joining the Chicago school, like some Bauhaus stuff coming out. And when he was going, he wanted to meet Frank Lloyd Wright, obviously, and Frank Lloyd Wright was told, Mies wants to meet you, and I should think he does, something along the lines. And I thought, maybe I'll slip that in, had a few drinks at the time. I thought, I just enough sense left to me to go, no, like, that's like, if somebody come into your company and say, "Oh, you're a football fan," I remember there was a game I saw on the television, and the commentary was absolutely fantastic. The chap said, "Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over." I think it was the dying embers of a game that was kind of in the balance, and just as he said that, he scored the goal, and he just adds a little addendum at it. Just like, it is now. I thought it was fantastic. So it's like, have you heard that? I have heard that. Oh, you must be a football fan, right enough. There's a Scottish chap, a manager. I'm sure he said, football. What was it? It's more than a matter of. It's not just a matter of life and death. It's more than that. Yeah, you do like football. I didn't really, you would sound like that if you started trying to join in with people who utterly know what they're talking about. I'm thinking, this is fucking great. I'm absolutely loving this. But it was just stained by the fact that I got there 3 hours late. I've been invited into this beautiful company, and I get there 3 hours late, maybe 3.5 hours, at least 2.5, probably 3.5, because I knew I was invited, and I'll be there, and I'm going to have to do a podcast on Thursday. at the latest. I'll do it on Thursday morning. I'll get it out there by lunchtime. I said, I'll be there, Robert. I'll be there between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. No danger. See you there. I was looking forward to it. And I got the pod done, no bother. And it's maybe finished about noon. It takes me at the worst, the longest possible route, having to walk from here all the way down to the underground, and then getting the underground to St Enoch's, and then walking around the pub. It would be an hour maximum to get there. So 12 o'clock. Fantastic. I'll just have some lunch while the pod's uploading. I did a podcast this time last week, an hour and 40 minutes. Let's try and beat that record. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. And to upload it, it took 20 minutes, 25 minutes. That's quite long. On Thursday, it just decided it wasn't going to upload. I'm sitting in the same part of the house. It's never happened before. I've actually got somewhere to fucking go, somewhere I really want to be, and I've given an assurance that I'll be there at a certain time. Yeah, I know, Rob, he's in company now. It's not like he's having a wee drink and all that, and it's no, kind of do or die whether I get there. I'm not going to be greatly offended, but you've gave your word to somebody. You've said to somebody you're going to be. I mean, I'm a big Hemingway fan. And you got A Movable Feast, and he starts when he's really bitching about F. Scott Fitzgerald, and F. Scott Fitzgerald is late for him. And Hemingway has this line that haunts me to this day. I just can't help being late all the time. I never want to be. It's horrific. And Hemingway says, it was the first time in my life I'd met a grown man who was late. I was like, oh my God, I know Hemingway goes OTT with the macho stuff and all that, to the point where it's pretty almost certain that he was a bit gay, but it's not a bit gay. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he was kind of trying to hide something. He was protesting too much at times, Hemingway. But it was like, oh no, he's a grown man that's never been late. And I thought, I've been late my entire grown man life. And I'm doing it again, and I hate it, and I couldn't believe it. But this is what happens to me. It's a conspiracy. I talk conspiracies old firm. This is a conspiracy. I couldn't get there in time because the thing wouldn't upload. The only thing I had to do was make sure my podcast went out. I didn't want to go along there and I hadn't done the podcast. Apart from anything else, I need to get it out my system. I need to know it's out there so I don't become the arsehole who's sitting ranting and raving about Rangers and Celtic in the company. I'm upset, but no, you can talk about Rangers and Celtic, and there's plenty of interesting stuff going on there. But you don't want to be the guy that's still pent up about last Sunday in decent company, especially intelligent company, and they're like, who is this Yahoo? You know what I mean? Steam get beat, suck it up. Well, so I need to get it out of myself. I just need to know it's up there, and it didn't upload again. I'd been with Livingston when it was 2-0. With the 2 attacks, Livingston had the whole game that we gave them, thanks John Suter. Those 2 fouls and the 2 free kicks and we're 2-0, and we get back to 2 each, and then they just have to have the incident where it could have been a red card or it should have been a foul at least, and that's just the wee. But I thought that's okay, a wee setback, because it's going to be a monumental win against Celtic. It's maybe better to have a setback now and get the double. You're beating Celtic and it's worth 6 points. 6 pointer you might even call it. And then we're 2-0 up against Celtic. And it's not just we're 2-0 up against them, it's we've scored, never mind the goal of the month, we've scored the goal of the century against them. And another absolute belter. 2 sumptuous goals and blowing them away with blistering football, the image of what we want to be under Danny Rose. I'm getting emotional. And then, it's the chicken, I just said chicken. I ate it too fast, sorry, it's disgusting. But I 2-0 up. And in 50 minutes, it's like, I think we've kind of tailed off a wee bit here, but it's going to be, that's 2-1. But I'm sure we're going to pick up again, and it's going to be, if Celtic are going to come back into it, they'll just score another goal now, on the hour mark, maybe 70 minutes, or maybe 80 minutes. No, they've got 84, 85 minutes by the time the penalty, the VAR checks, and that actually gets taken. It's 89 minutes. And it's not just like they score the penalty and it's a late signal. Jack Butland fucking saves it. And then he saves it again. And then it still goes in. And then we dominate the remaining 4 or 5 minutes of the game just to prove how good we are and how this shouldn't have happened. And you're like, fuck. But we still get a second chance to put the wind up them. And it's a 12 o'clock kick-off on a Sunday, which is disgusting. It's 5:45 next Saturday night. The times are horrific. I managed to get there just in time for the 12 o'clock one. It's an hour later the following week, but it's Celtic are getting the whole of the broom. You might have heard about this. Celtic got the whole of the broom, they got a massive allocation, they're back to their old allocation, so I went to where I used to park. Seems like yesterday when Celtic were getting their full allocation, but it was all changed, and it was so much more busy, so I had to go somewhere else, and it was £53 for a ticket, and I'm trying all the other places that I used to go, and they're all rammed, they're all like triple parked and stuff like that. I mean, every single person. There'd be tons, even the ones that were breaking through the gates because they didn't have a ticket. It was like 54,000 turned up at Ibrox last week, and they all had a 4x4. They all arrived by car. How can them to be drunk? So I can't get parked. I have to end up going back to the bit I usually park it, and it's deserted because the police have segregated it really weird. And then it's the fucking QR code because it's no in the season ticket. It's a QR code and it's the queues because folk can't walk the QR code thing, even though that's what fucking turnstiles are built to take. And I missed the first 5 minutes. I had another 115 minutes of sumptuous football to compensate for it, plus penalties, bonus, and a wee rammy at the end as well. It's great viewing. I certainly got my £53 worth, but I still missed the first 5 minutes. And for somebody who's late all the time, I'm incredibly anal when it comes to the football. I've seen all of it. So you know how that game went? Getting beaten on penalties. Jack, but I mean, the guy who missed the penalty twice the previous week in the league, when you get to have retakes of it, he scores straight away this time when there's no retakes, just one save would have done fine, Jack. Stuff like that. It was getting really, and here I was meeting folk, and I was going to get a few pints in good company and have I still must be fucking late for it. So even though at the end of the night I'm thinking this has been great, everybody else is away home because you're late, Alec. And I spent the next day just going, even when someone goes great, I managed to shit all over it. Just I cut myself 3 years of injury. What I need, I just need the jazz. There's too much. The bandwidth that I wasn't getting to upload the podcast in time. I couldn't leave the house until the podcast uploaded. That was what was making me late. And then it's just an anxiety dream after that because you're already about 2 hours late and it's just getting down to the underground. There's 3 other train stations I could be going to, but they're all not quite equidistant. But it's just so many different options. Just walk to the underground. And it was a nightmare the whole way. I'm text going, I'm sorry, I'm fucking late again. The folk are thinking, this guy's never turning up. Why did he just say he's not coming? But I was coming. I just don't have the bandwidth in the house to upload the podcast. I don't have it mentally. I don't have it emotionally to cope with this. I need a result. I need a clean, hard result. And I just don't want to talk about the aggro. I don't want to talk about the politics, the pseudo-politics, the one-upmanship, the othering. But I've got to get it out of my system before I can proceed with the football. I'm sitting here just wanting to talk about football. I'm sitting here wanting to talk like Colin Greenwood. Like Colin Greenwood, Radiohead. When he's ready to just play the bass when Radiohead are doing Reckner, no the official video Reckner, because I don't think the band are in the official video Reckner, but the in the basement session, just put it in Radiohead Reckner, you know the tune well. It's a great song. Tom York gone full, falsetto the whole way through, and it's just he only comes in to play the bass after the bridge in the song. He comes in to play the bass later on, but he's totally ready to go. He's doing the regular. I don't know if he's been watching Dr. George with the jazz, the instructions, because they're quite jazz, aren't they, Radiohead? And he's just ready. He's older than me, Colin. That's what I love about Radiohead. I'm scared that Gen Zers, or whatever you call them, or millennials, or whoever, maybe even millennials, but Gen Zers definitely are going to see Radiohead the same way I see Genesis. Peter Gabriel Genesis, that kind of the prog stuff almost, or maybe the later Genesis, maybe the Phil Collins, and I can't dance, I can't. Maybe they're going to see them like that. I don't know, but I'm scared that it's just but I kind of reassurance at the fact there's only one member of Radiohead that I'm actually older than, and that's Johnny Greenwood, no Colin's wee brother. And in the video for that, he's just playing a lemon. He's just got a lemon. Just you go in the corner, Johnny son. Just you go in the John. Could you give a wee lemon to play with? Just you play that. Just you go and you occupy yourself while you get one hand playing the lemon. Just go and write a soundtrack to a film, or else there will be blood. Any trouble out of you. You go and get that Johnny Greenwood. He's the only one that all the rest of them are older than me. Some know by much. That's fine, but it makes me feel a bit kind of cooler, and so that's why the algorithm probably sent. And I think that's why the algorithm has eventually sent me. The algorithm just sends me Radiohead because of what age I am, and because it knows I love Radiohead, and I love listening to that. And I'm listening to it coming back through, having a wee drink and all that, and a chat on Thursday night. I'm listening to it in the train. The way on the trains are fine. The way back, don't worry about that. And I'm listening to it, and it's lovely. And I think that's what sent me the algorithm, because there's just this bit. It's just that bit in the basement. In the basement, they're doing the whole In Rainbows album, I think, but it's the bit I keep watching is Reckner, which originally was going to be the title for the album as well, because In Rainbows bit is a refrain within the song itself. But Colin Green was just sitting there. He's standing there, you know, he's not the tallest guy in the world, the bass looks the same height as him, but he's got it there, and this is a guy who's played the bass his entire life, the bass is part of his body, but he's been doing the maracas thing as well as everybody else. Ed O'Brien, they're doing the kind of maracas and tambourines and that kind of thing, because it's just Tom York with the guitar, isn't it? Tom York with the guitar, and you get the drum, and she's just kind of, but it comes out, and then they all come in, everybody comes in with their guitars and bit of keyboards, and it's Colin. It's Big Brother Colin Greenwood. He's got the fingers in it, and it's a thing he does with his fingers. He's getting the rhythm. He's not playing yet. He's not playing, but he's got his instrument ready because he knows when he's got to come in. And he's just playing. He does this lovely thing with his finger, and he kind of up and down. Is it the frets? You call it fretboards? I don't know what it is. On the neck of the big long sticky out bit on the bass guitar. He's just like, he's moving up and down it and kind of going to pluck at it before it is time to do that. But he's done this whole thing with his hands, but he's kind of like, he's not going to get, you know, early onset arthritis. You know, he's no Asterix fingered. His fingers are nimble. His fingers know how to play. There's no fucking pianist is going to outdo him in the comping. You know, no matter if it is, especially if because it's his wee brother. Just sit there and play your lemon. But I'll try and put a link up to this in the. But he just goes in and he starts doing his little bass guitar, and it's beautiful. But it's more beautiful if you watch him. It's the opposite of my podcast. It's more beautiful if you watch him and see him get it there, because it's like, that's what I want to do. I can't play a musical instrument. I can't play the spoons. I have some spoons players that are actually quite good. That sounds like it. But it's I can't play any kind of musical instrument at all. I certainly can't sing, as you know. But that's not why I talk about football. He's got that look in his face like he doesn't actually care if anybody else thinks his music's any good, how many albums they sell, how many tours they go on. He just wants to play the bass for Radiohead. I just want to talk about the football. I just want to talk about Rangers. My fingers are ready. I'm ready to go, but I've got to get it. I've got to get it out of the system because there's been a whole lot of nonsense, a whole lot of garbage. And how you doing, folks? This is your Fat Eck. Rangers go to St Mirren this Sunday, having been knocked out the Scottish Cup the previous Sunday to deny us the double, and we go to St Mirren this Sunday to deny them the treble, just out of pure badness, because we are the most evil football club and set of supporters in the world. I'm being sarcastic. Preview pod coming to you in association with Jersey. Check out Jersey. It was Friday night. It was Brian and it was Stuart. Not had a chance to watch it yet because I'm just really behind with everything. I've not had a chance to watch it, but they two are always a good value, so I would definitely get onto that. Stuart and Brian doing their preview pods for this game. I'm coming to you in association with that, and I'm coming to you in association with Morrison's Chickens, £2.50. No joke, it's I don't know if it's still open. You can maybe get round there just now. Maybe it's an offer that extends all weekend. £2.50 for all the chickens. All the chickens are £2.50. Morrison's, I've just had mine. That's what's coming back on me emotionally. It's phenomenal. I stood there. I just couldn't believe it. The first bit of good news I've had all week. First bit of good news I've had in a month, I think. The first result. I just stood. And I went this morning, and just before I actually had my breakfast, just walking into Morrison's. It's a place to walk. I'm going to get my rotisserie chicken in because it's a Saturday. Rangers only playing this Saturday. You get a rotisserie chicken in and you enjoy your Saturday. That's what I build my whole day around. And it really confused me because it was just, and usually it's a fiver, or £6.27, you want a bigger one, so I'll just go for the smaller one. Fiver's fine, that'll do me. Have the whole chicken in one sitting. And I'm getting there, and there's about half a dozen chickens, it's kind of quite bare shelves. And I'm looking at the price, and I'm going, that says £2.50. That says £2.50, but they also had a sign up saying, we're really sorry that we can't stock the shelves in time because of the demand. It's all printed up, this sign. It's right next to the price as well. And it was bigger than the price sticker thing on the shelf, and it was saying, we're really sorry that we've run out of stock. The chickens will try and restock the shelves as soon as possible. So all that had obviously been put up at a time when the shelves were empty. Folk are clearing it out because of the offer, £2.50 a chicken. I thought they just put that up because the sign was still there. I'm looking at chickens, which I'm going to buy anyway, no matter what price they are. I'll always have a rotisserie. I always have a chicken. I always roast a chicken on a Saturday for myself. I'm going to have it anyway, but I stood there going, oh, do I take one? Something just snapped me. Do I take one of these then? Doesn't matter, like, you've got a barcode on it. You've got to put it through all right, so they're saying these chickens that are right in front of me actually aren't here. Or does that mean they're a fiver? Or maybe they're £7.50. I don't know what's happened with this. So confused. It's just been an emotional week, and things have been just getting to me. So I got my chicken for £2.50. That's also the 4 fingers of chocolate kind of bar things, like 4 whispers. £1.50 or £1.40, £1.50. I think they're £1.50. as opposed to £2.40. That's what it's £1. Doing for £2.40 to £1.50. Get on it. Get on it. The chocolate, the sweeties aisle, the chocolate sweets, a packet of sweets, not your dairy milk and your fries, creams, and all that. Get no the biscuits. Get doing the aisle. It's towards the front. Get in there. Get your chicken. Get your chocolate. Or the Chif food group. That's my favourite. Chips, tuna, chorizo. Get it, the cheese, obviously, hundreds of cheese with your chocolate and your chicken. So get that stay. I'm sponsored by that. My name's Alec Anderson. Because we separate like ripples on a blank shore in rainbows. Because we separate like ripples on a blank shore in rainbows. My name's Alec Anderson, and I'm here just to get this shit off my system. They were missing Tierney before the teams were announced. And then they lost Callum McGregor, their best player, their linchpin, their captain in the build-up after the Aberdeen game they played in the previous midweek, because, yes, they played at Pittodrie on Wednesday after a European tie with Stuttgart in the previous 2 midweeks, and they've got another tranche of instant starters missing through injury, including the likes of Carter Vickers and Johnson. It looks like we've blown it. They brought in a centre-half last Sunday into the first team who made his debut for them at that game at Pittodrie the previous Wednesday. He's playing his second game, his second start for Celtic last week. But we'll wait and see how the league goes. We'll wait and see how that goes. I just want to talk football before we'll get to the better stuff at the end of this, right? I sat and I watched the game back. As I say, this pot, it's just me getting a suit. It's going to overrun. It's far too late getting up. Nobody's going to watch it. Just bear with me if you can. I'll try and timestamp it, but I watched the whole game back, and the riot, and the penalties, the whole thing. I watched it all back in the telly. I studied it for 2 days, just to see how bad we were. No, nach dem Spiel ist vor dem Spiel. This is what happened last Sunday affects how we regard Rangers. Let's forget the politics of what happened afterwards just now. Let's look at the politics of how we regard Rangers, how we regard Danny Rowe, how we regard this team of ours. I just want to go over the game again. We started phenomenally well against Celtic last week. The slow out the blocks accusation has been answered, I think, already. The not up for big games charge has also been answered, I think, by Rangers under Danny Rowe with a charge like we saw in the first half hour of both Old Firm games just played at Ibrox, and the Hearts at Ibrox as well. All that's kind of left is we're not just quite good enough yet. The mentality question is just fans reframing the pain of growth in a language that lets us kind of lash out. It's something we can understand as a criticism rather than, well, it just being life. Danny Rowe, his pre-match presser on Friday ahead of the St Mirren game, was talking about just being football. He's right. You just need to get better. You just need a whole lot of players. But the promise is there. This shit doesn't come overnight. Not when your club has had its entire infrastructure ripped out back in 2012, and its environment spun upside down at the same time, and has been doing that on average, completely ripping out its infrastructure twice a season ever since. It feels like we clearly lost belief as the game went on against Celtic last week, but that was in the face of Celtic's game plan increasingly working. It's a bit like Croatia-Turkey. It's just the kind of the game momentum. Remember that Croatia-Turkey quarter-final Euro 2008? It was in Vienna. I think it was in the Prater, the Ernst Happel in Vienna. Secession in Vienna, and it was it Turkey? It was Croatia that were winning. I think Croatia scored. It went to extra time. I think Croatia scored in the last minute of extra time, and they're going nuts. That's it. Game's won. Turkey go back up the park and equalise straight away. The two of them hadn't scored in the previous 118 minutes. Then bang bang, equalise. So into the penalty shootout they go, and Turkey are absolutely buzzing and just slap all their penalties away. Croatia are devastated. It'd actually been better if it finished 0-0. They could have maintained concentration, but they tasted victory, had it snatched away from them, and it totally deflated them. There was a bit of that going on, I felt, last week, because Celtic, even though neither team scored, Celtic's whole game plan had been, we don't have cut, we're missing so many players, let's just see if we can get to extra time and penalties, and they did. We didn't get the game won. We'd failed, they'd won as we went into the penalties. And that definitely, we still need to overcome that, but that's this kind of nascent team, that's not going to happen. And as a squad, I think, or point B would be, as a squad, we've got no one used to winning on a regular basis. Certainly not as many of the members of Celtic's squad have won numerous trophies. Celtic still boss the trophies, but not this fixture. I'm hoping Celtic right now are us in 1997, 1998. Walter was leaving. We knew he was leaving. They know Martin O'Neill's leaving at the end of the season. I think that'd be a mistake, quite honestly, for them. Celtic only beat us once that season, 97, 98, where they stopped us doing 10 in a row. They were winning the league for themselves and stopping us doing 10 in a row. But we put them at the Scottish Cup and we beat them at Ibrox. In successive weeks, we beat them in the Scottish Cup at Parkhead. The second of the two games, we beat them at Ibrox in the league, and it was like, it's in the bag for Rangers. This is looking fantastic. They'd only beaten us once, and that was in the New Year game at Parkhead, which is basically the only time we've beaten Celtic this season as well. Be over 90 minutes. After penalties, whatever, and it turned out to be it didn't seem like Celtic were going anywhere that season. They were kind of pretending to win the title, and then it just kind of went wrong for us at the end. We ran out of steam, and that's the only kind of hope for us, I think, this season. First half of that game last week, we dominated. We dominated the first half hour. Fernandes and Diamandi both went in with solid kind of tone-setting challenges in the first 4 minutes. Diamandi get booked, which established us as the dominant force instantly in that game. Giga had a few lovely moments of kind of cool and control and speedy, well-read interceptions, so he's establishing himself straight away as a worthy replacement for John Souttar, who I thought might have started this game just as Diamandi's instantly justifying his selection ahead of Chuck Wani, while simultaneously guaranteeing it wouldn't go beyond half-time. The common theme for us this season, first half cards in big games. Trusty is back for a kind of much weakened Celtic, and his behaviour is pretty bad, rolling about in the mere presence of Chermiti as if he'd been stabbed in the back. His handball to block Chermiti's shot as Trusty slides to ground after a great Mikey Moore run and layoff in a crowded Celtic box is deliberate, but it's the arm is within the shape of his body, so to speak, so it's not a penalty. Mikey Moore is tremendous. No one is letting. I mean, it's deliberate, as in he's meant to do that. He's a cynical and hardened and wizened defender. Trusty it's good for him. I'm not criticising the guy on the basis of that, but Mikey Moore's tremendous. No one's letting the little Mexican kind of boxer Arayo get away with his kind of plastic hard case stuff. In fact, Romans is deliberately going for him off the ball. Raskin's keeping up the pressure, and Nadiri is running very hard. He is another with the socks down a bit, so that's now three of them, three Rangers players I cannot tell apart from my place in the main stand. Nadiri, Mikey Moore, Nico Raskin. Unless I can see their numbers, I can't tell what one's what. So I think all of them are everywhere. I think they're all having a great game because they all seem to be everywhere, because I can't tell what. It's the whole, when Real Madrid bought Thomas Gravison because they didn't know about Lee, I think, Carlson. Chermiti's socks, Chermiti shoots over the bar early. I'm obsessed with socks. After Romans dispossesses Celtic at the byline and pulls it back to him, and Big Youssef has a classic flick-on header to put Nadiri through from a Butland kick-out, but Nadiri gets the ball tangled up in his feet, and Celtic kind of snuff out his shots and his run. Skov Olsen is rubbish, really rubbish. I hadn't realised during the game. Save for his kind of trundler corner, his laughable little corner in the second half, because he was so anonymous. I didn't even see Skov Olsen during the day to form any criticism of him in my head at the time. But watching it back on television, he's absolutely shocking, Skov Olsen. Virtually none of his passes or crosses or corners hit a Rangers player. Big Fernandes, who is downright silky at times and suffers a studs to the shin assault from Arroyo early on. Mikey Moore should also have been booked for a professional foul in the early stages, but Skov Olsen goes from being our kind of only poor player in the first half hour to a symbol of the game, slightly, the very start of it, turning away from us when he stands back and waits for a Chermiti kind of cross ball to come to him. Tinekti intercepts for Celtic. It's in the middle of Jack Butland being caught dilly-dallying by Maeda. Jack's so slow when he gets the ball at his feet these days, and Maeda seeming to open the scoring. But Butland's kind of his rick that he has with the ball at his feet leads to Celtic corners. One's recycled to Liam Scales, who flicks on for Maeda to dive header in from 6 or 7 yards out. But Butland still looks slow, getting down to punch it into his own net almost. Our defence is just letting all these headers be won in our box, but Scales is definitely offside. He comes back from the cover of an offside position to win the header, which creates the goal, which is the assist. It's textbook offside, but still at half time, we have to hear Michael Stewart slander the drawing of the lines. Don't get me wrong, I mean, Chris Boyd does this as well. It's right up there with kind of anti-mask and anti-vax stuff, that kind of rhetoric as far as I'm concerned. I've chosen not to believe this because I'm a fucking moron, and it's beyond me. It's it's slightly nefarious. It's definitely rabble-rousing for the sake of impersonating actual insight. The pitch is bendy, but the pitch is definitely bendy. How can the lines be straight? It's called a camber, and that gets factored in to the thing that's drawing the lines. I would imagine, but if not, it's the same for both teams. That's all you really need. Literal flat earthers stuff, as far as I'm concerned. Let me just sigh as if I'm the only person who knows anything about football. Sorry. Unfortunately, that's the loudest roar of the day from us, when their goal's been disallowed. But remember this bonus feature of the year. And folk are always saying, well, you can't celebrate a goal these days. Well, also, you get to celebrate when you think you've conceded a goal, when the opposition thinks they've scored. You get to celebrate as that, because it all evens itself out. Celtic have had this kind of 5 minutes, really, all in all, around them scoring this offside goal. But it's enough to just cool us down a bit. It just kind of calms us in attack. Dujon Sterling is a god, and he puts in the best ball from the right-hand side of the park that we manage in the entire first 45 minutes. It's 0-0 at half-time. Chukwueze is on to replace Diamandi. I don't know if it's because Dee was in a yellow, or I'm thinking at the time, Ramadan must. I know there's usually lots of stuff on the BBC website, sports website, this about how Ramadan and the fasting affects players, and sometimes but he's injured. I think he's probably taking that injury as well. Maybe that's why he come off. We found out today, on Friday from Danny Rule, that he's not going to be playing against St Mirren. So, but it's interesting to see Bazrami on the touchline at half time, or just as the second half's about to start, like whispering some advice to Big Toshi as he gets ready to go on. Nadeem obviously isn't in any kind of huff for the fact he's not getting a game regularly. He's a team player, a squad player, a Rangers man. He also tried to kind of G up Butland and get the fans going after he scores his penalty in the shootout later on. Weirdly, I felt we were more likely to win at this point because we hadn't hit the first half heights of last Sunday. It was like we were spreading out the energy and the dominance more evenly across the whole game. We're grinding Celtic down rather than trying to blast them away. Wasn't to be. The second half is unbelievably incident-packed. This was not a boring game. Until, again, Rangers almost totally on top of Celtic, playing on the counter. Maida trips up Giga in a foul that should have been a booking in itself, but is the latest in a series, and he gets that's your last warning. Maida just gets Don Robertson. That's definitely a last year, definitely very animatedly from the referee, but it isn't his last, and he doesn't get booked for any of them. Maida, he goes through Jack Butland soon after as Captain Jack is catching the ball in the air. Only the fact I think it looked like Maida came out worse in that collision possibly stops him getting the yellow that should have been a red card. Should have been a red card in his previous foul as well, but Maida is just pushing it as far as he can. What else would you do? You're not going to get booked. You just keep going. You got another foul on you. Trusty, on the other hand, is a bit of a scumbag. His critics his antics on Sunday leave me in no doubt that he definitely kicked Jack Butland in the head on purpose during the League Cup semi-final. There could be no deal that his play acting is disgusting. The incident with Chermiti trying to punch the ball out his hand as he time wastes. He hits the deck and making out he's been thumped in the thigh and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty awful. He's definitely Celtic's Ryan Porteous. He blocks Mikey Moore twice as he's trying. He's a good player as well. He's a good defender. He blocks Mikey Moore twice as he's trying to tee up in the dairy after a great move from Butland via Chermiti into Celtic's 6-yard box. It's all pace and power and very direct from Rangers. Chermiti slightly pulls out of a challenge with their goalie as he finds himself through on goal after Celtic mess up in their box, but the big man is sharp. Scott Olsen is awful. He has 2 free kicks and a corner for the ages. 2 bad free kicks. that do little at a corner that just that one we just basically kicks it straight out and doesn't even get any air into it at all. He goes off in the 66th minute for Gassama, and Judy Gassama goes on, plays on the right hand side. Fernandez is a header from a good Mikey Moore cross blocked by Giga accidentally, who along with Sterling provides our best crosses from the right until Scott Wilson goes off. The beautiful irony is Sterling is instantly booked for taking out Maeda right in front of Martin O'Neill's technical area. Nadiri hunting back to the halfway line to dispossess Arroyo, and the overlap was brilliant. Trusty had just blocked a shot by Chermiti as we worked it round Celtic's box. Gassama had a great cross to the back post for Romans to win within a minute of coming on. I thought, oh my God, we're going to have great crosses from the right wing now. Gassama's obviously in the mood. It's just a matter of time. I was thinking at the time, so naive, Alec. Maeda's having to foul Gassama. Of course he is. The persistent fouling ruling is obviously forgotten when refs look at Maeda's peroxide blonde hair. It just throws them. Gassama is dispossessing Celtic players, winning corners. In the 77th minute, I was shocked to see Mikey Moore coming off for Bajrami. He'd one kind of wayward shot recently, Mikey Moore, but I didn't think he was that tired, and he was definitely at the heart of our kind of utter dominance of pressure. Chermiti is using any excuse to batter into Trusty, and we're great in the build-up and the Gegen press. And then, as per last Sunday, it's the 80th minute this time. In a moment, it's just a wee moment. This time it's the 80th minute of the game, when a Celtic player gives the ball away but then wins it back, which, rather than being the kind of retrospective moment that all started going right for Celtic, as it was when Ewan did it early in the second half of the league game, in our half of the pitch. This time, Oxlade-Chamberlain just on as a sub, doing it deep in his own half with 10 minutes to go. That first made me think, we're not doing this. This could be rope-a-dope here. Are we just being Tommy Burns at Celtic? It was the feeling I was starting to get again. Oxlade-Chamberlain gives the ball to Bajrami. He kind of intercepts a cross-field pass, but he's able to get it back. Oxlade-Chamberlain, because Nadim, one of our most intelligent players in an attacking sense, suddenly can't find an option. He can't find another Rangers player to play in. We still have the ball, but we go backwards. And it's then a kind of midfield battle for a few minutes. Big Dujon, perhaps lucky not to get a second yellow card. But we almost capitalise on a Celtic mistake at the back. Chermiti and Nadiri can't work it out quick enough. But they still managed to get it back, and Gassama isn't as good off the left from the right, but he's been a massive improvement on Scott Wilson. Nico Raskin has his header from the corner cleared off the 2-yard line, and that's what reminds you Raskin's on the pitch. Then Celtic have a go at winning it for a couple of minutes, and at the dying minutes, the corner in the 89th minute was very well defended by us, but I was shitting myself at that point. That wouldn't have been rope-a-dope, it would have been daylight robbery at that point in time. 3 minutes injury time, and we dominate that as well. The brilliant Chukwani at the end of a great counter-attack is brilliantly blocked by yet another fantastic last-ditch tackle by Celtic, this time from their substitute Dane Murray. I call this great defending. Others have been known to call it anti-football. You have to give respect to receive it. That's really petty, but there you are. Nico Raskin overhits the ball from the edge of the box, full time, 0-0, and I've still never seen Rangers beat Celtic in the Scottish Cup at Ibrox, except on television. Full time, Tav comes on for Dujon Sterling. I don't know if it's at fitness. Dujon just doesn't play a lot of games, and he's played both of those 90 minutes against Celtic 2 Sundays in the trot, or if it's because he's on a booking, but the captain's armband makes a tactical switch. The sun is still out. We dominate again, although Tav loses his first kind of foot race in defence. He provides brilliantly dangerous crosses. Butland's long ball was reaping rewards as we're absolutely sound at the back, particularly aerially. And then the 99th minute, aka the 9th minute, Bajrami's intelligence after a poor Celtic clearance opens him up with one touch. He plays in Chermiti and Gassama. He plays in Chermiti and Gassama, who are wide open on the left, as a couple almost, the two of them, both bombing into the box, almost as one person. Youssef takes the lead, but he shouldn't have, as the ball is bouncing, and a big man needs longer to set himself up for a shot. By that time, Dane Murray, and that's bollocks, as the second goal he scored against Celtic the previous week proves. It's just the way this one kind of fell. By that time, Dane Murray of Celtic has got back for another last-ditch block. It was good siege defending from Celtic. Gassama would have brought that one down, I think, and fired at home in one full movement. It's a corner. Tav, who's just being kind of coached by our set piece guru Scott Fry, as he prepared to come on. He raises the hands as he prepares to take, and Don Robertson is having words with Giga and two folk trying to mark him. Tav puts it to the back post. Fernandez heads it onto someone's head, and as everybody falls to the ground from the kind of aerial assault, the ball is trapped between Manny's chin and Trusty's shoulder. It comes loose, bounces up a yard out, and Manny hits it over the line with his flapping hand. He slaps it into the net, does Big Manny. The TV camera pans the crowds, and despite the noise, half of our crowd are on their phones just to double check it, or just standing about. Like last Sunday, when I could tell from up the back of the previous Sunday, when I could tell from up the back of the main stand that something was up with Jack Butland's last ditch save. Something wasn't right about that, even though I couldn't see specifically what it was. We instinctively knew as a crowd. I was having the weirdest hugs with my neighbours at the time. Yay, yay, should be. It just nobody was quite believing it. I thought it got ruled out, of course, for the handball, and then Tav puts an even better ball into the box, onto the penalty spot, and Chermiti, gloriously isolated, hits it first time past the post. Best chance of the game, really. Best chance of the game, totally fluffed. In between times, Magoma comes on for Romans. We've utterly controlled this half of extra time. That's 3 halves in a row of this game. We have utterly controlled. Like I say, Tommy Burns Celtic. Second half of extra time, as Michael Stewart says, Celtic need an out ball. The camera shows it warming up to come on for Giga. Now that's cruel. That's cruel on John Suter. He is wobbly and he plays us into difficulty a couple of times. Big John, a big soapy, but he also intercepts critically to repel Celtic's first and last attacks of this half, blocking the Portuguese Bernardo, who kind of cops a yellow card for a professional foul and then pretends to have been hit in the face, then gets straight back up when the ref's not having it and Rangers start attacking. And James Forrest, who piles into the box late on, the last move of the game. Between times, we're again dominant, if not with the same kind of certainty or threat as the rest of the game. Nadiri is good, considering how knackered he must be, pushing, prompting. Raskin snarls at Araujo. O'Neill rages because the ref blows for time before they can take a corner. Nope, it's a throw-in. I thought it was a corner at the time. It was a bloody throw-in. This is why I can't stand him. But he's 120 minutes exactly. There was no injury time. It's blood going out for a shy. So you gave them stuff up there. That is crying conspiracy. But then he's very kind of magnanimous in victory, isn't he? But it's a big thing to know what end the penalties are going to be taken at when you know it's penalties. And we all cheered it at the time when a bit of a VAR check on the coin toss, because it's the first time it gets tossed, it lands in a divot in the grass and is obviously completely side up, which is just typifies what's going on in this game. But we win the coin toss for what end we shoot, and it's a big thing this time because of the demographics of the stadium. Celtic having you might not have noticed from the commentary, but Celtic had the full Brimlin. As we score most of our goals into Brimlin this season, though, I should have known better. Scales tells Don Robertson not to forget his coin. Yeah, just your coin there, mate. Well, Tav's away frantically up to the Copeland to start with the penalty preparation. I don't know if that's maybe a sign of which side is feeling coolest about this. Neither keeper makes a save. Celtic's keeper doesn't have to. We score 2, and even they aren't particularly convincing. Celtic score 4. When we miss our second, Gassama sending his directly over the bar instead of via the bar as Tav did. With his tone-setting first kick, everybody starts leaving. Half of them think it's officially over. A lot of the crowd started leaving. A lot of the Rangers crowd. Half of them think it's officially over probably at that point. The other know it's all but. They obviously weren't at the Fenerbahce game 12 months ago, those who were leaving early. But Jack Butland has had every penalty he's ever faced in Old Firm shootouts, and that's two Old Firm penalty shootouts. Every single one of them has been put past him. It wasn't Tav who set the tone. It was the previous 120 minutes where Celtic's game plan worked and ours didn't. Once again, the lack of finishing has finished us. But it really is all we need to become the finished product. Just the finishing, improve the finishing. That's all that's left. After that game last week, that's it. And that's not a bad situation to be in, considering how traumatic the start of the season was and just how traumatic things are historically for Rangers as we fight back from 2012. What we've got to remember, though, when we're talking about how well Rangers played last week, is This was a Celtic side down to its bare bones, and with a much busier schedule, and also has had more managerial changes than us just now. They are, as I keep saying, institutionalised champions. They're just used to winning. They're used to getting through. That counts for a hell of a lot, almost 50% of what it takes in these kind of games. But they weren't. They were far from at their best. I think it was notable that when it went to penalties, Martin O'Neill comes straight out and straight into, after raging at the ref, he goes straight into a huddle with his players, and he's there. And I think it was Sean Maloney that was giving him a kind of pep talking up. They're all in their wee huddle, psyching themselves up for the penalty, just getting the mood right as much as anything else. At that stage in time, you should know how to take a penalty. In that stage in your career, I think he went in there initially, Danny Rule, to talk to the Rangers players, but I think he just let his coaches take over. He was sitting on the bench while our kind of huddle, for want of a better phrase, was continuing. That's just something to note. Maybe it's different in Germany. Maybe he's not really paying attention to what British players, the mollycoddling that us simple-minded British players require, but maybe that's a factor. We're just not used to getting through these kind of games. Sorry, folk, I just had to say that. I just had to get that out. I had to do I'm basically reading that from notes that I'd taken. You might have guessed before we had a little bit more kind of bio. Yeah. Our statement versus Brian Wilson's Celtic TV interview, our statement about the trouble that then happened. And as I say, I did a pod on Thursday. I got it posted eventually. It's up in my previous podcast. It's all about I predicted a riot. That's the title of it. Not quite as good as Dr. George's preparations for getting involved in a jazz jam sesh, but there you are. All my thoughts had to get out there, and they're all in that podcast on it, and there's nothing really changed. It's just it's actually exacerbated stuff, the way this has been covered since then by the media, Celtic's reaction versus our reaction, and I don't enjoy this. I don't like it. So I've got good mates, and some of my best mates are Celtic fans and all that kind of stuff. It's all patronising garbage, but it's not been good. It's not been good at all. I feel really bad about it. But Celtic, I think they did an interview. They're basically playing it as if they have nothing to, be responsible for the trouble that happened afterwards. I covered the breakdown of the trouble and the mini riot that wasn't actually a riot as such. I need to just say, for want of comic relief, the fellow from Nil by Mouth, the charity dealing with the evils of sectarianism in Glasgow, a place that really needs it. It needs a charitable organisation like that. He was on Reporting Scotland. He only got a tiny soundbite, of course, because we don't want to have people who are actually concerned about stuff and actually want to make the world better getting any more than a brief patronising soundbite. We want to give most of the time to ranting and raving football journalists and shit-stirrers, but he's... I think he's trying to play it down, obviously, but he said it was notable that a lot of the fans seemed quite young, and they were into the whole notion of running back and forth, like running on the pitch and chasing folk and getting without actually breaking through the lines of stewards or whatever to get. It sounded to me like, I might be against sectarianism, but I'm also against shitebags. If you're going to date it, you know what I mean? Don't be acting the big man if you're not going to follow up on it. It's quite good. It's quite funny. It's not funny. It's horrific, but you've got to take your humour where you can find it. But yeah, we issued a statement. I listened to it, and I'm scared that I'm conscious I might end up repeating something you've already heard in the Heart and Hand podcast. I think that went out on Thursday night. I listened to it last night. Cammy and Andy McGowan. It's really, really good. I would recommend anybody to listen to that. They dealt with it really well. And the beautiful thing, I don't know Andy McGowan. I've never met the guy, but I know they're always talking about the fact he's Faux. I think he's a large Thistle supporter as well. But you can hear seagulls in the background. It's like you try to play. The producers, have they put that in the background? It's like he's from the seaside and he likes a seaside-based football club. Just let's have seagulls. This is his personal theme tune, that he gets about. I thought that was quite cool. As somebody for a Drossen, I really enjoyed the seagulls in the background. But it was really well judged and a spot on pod, I thought. So forgive me if I accidentally repeat anything I've already said. But our statement, it was judged, and it was serious enough to have kind of merited or explained the 4-day delay in the issuing of it, which the police chiefs were getting their knickers in the twist. It's a woman, wasn't it? That's a horrific thing to say, sorry. But the police chiefs were getting upset and basically trying to badmouth us, saying, why has there not been any reaction from the clubs? This was on Monday or Tuesday. This was getting said, but the statement itself seemed so well judged and also very, very careful when it had to be careful. while issuing a few warnings. It says Celtic had Brian Wilson doing an interview on Celtic TV. I saw the first line of it and I thought, I don't know what it was. I'm just going to upset myself here. He's not going to say. Brian Wilson's he's my local MP. Was it Aaron Cunningham District Council? Whatever it is. He was my local MP when I was a kid, when I was still at school, just over 40 years ago. And I did a project for modern studies. This is like fourth year of modern studies. I need to do a project, and I did leukemia in the west of Scotland because my wee cousin David, he's fine now, and he was the first person in the world to get 3 bone marrow transplants that all failed and survived. He was just a kid, he was just like 2-3 years old at the time. It was a nightmare for the whole family. It was years he was up in York Hill Sick Kids all the time. We were all going up visiting him every weekend and that, and but eventually he got through it, and it was pretty much miraculous. But I get into this, and I was doing the folk thought it was linked to Hunterston. His dad worked at Hunterston Power Station, my Uncle Dave. So that was a big worry. This is what actually caused it. This is what caused young David to have the leukemia. It's just up the road from us. So I wrote to Brian Wilson just to get a wee, just for my project, really. And he get back to me, and very, very nice and all that. So I don't want to badmouth the man too much. He's a Celtic man, and that's all there is to it. But he's doing his Celtic TV interview, and I mean, hopefully he's going to studs up on Celtic fans and shows us. He's just, he's taken a bit of responsibility there. I don't know. I haven't heard that. I got all I wanted to keep me hating Martin O'Neill in the way that I need to, because I'm as small-minded as anybody else. I'm not claiming to be completely Mr. Sober and balanced here. I have to acknowledge my own rank bias. But Celtic's attitude was epitomised, I think, by Martin O'Neill in his presser yesterday and Friday. I only saw it because it was up in Sky Sports News, but the first question they get asked was the wee guy who's, can't remember his name, he's a good wee fella, probably loves me called a wee fella, he's got the beard and all that, young guy, I mean, he's just young. He's on Sky, I think he's on Radio Clyde as well, but he's just like, Martin, it feels like there's been a lot going on this week with your joy at going through in the Cup versus the scenes at full time. How do you reflect on it? Now, I think the verses thing, I mean, that's when you're reading too much into stuff, but it was like, you're joyful that the scenes are against you. But I think it's, you've got the joy of the football match versus these scenes, and it had to be, I think it was appropriate to put it that way. And O'Neill's response was pretty much, we were just celebrating, and then the Rangers fans attacked us and they battered a Celtic fan in Helen Street, and those are the only transgressions that occurred on Sunday when our reserves beat their full team. I can't believe they've got away fans banned from this fixture forever, except for the next time at Parkhead, because Celtic are honourable and welcoming. He started off by saying something and that, of course, the bit about him being quite happy to, he hopes the Rangers fans, they're due to be. There's been an agreement, so they should get into Parkhead for the next Old Firm game. That was the fucking back of the Daily Record today. I'm in Morrison's getting my chicken. I checked the back of the Daily Record on my way out, the newspapers bit, and it's, Martin O'Neill says, I hope Rangers fans come back to you. Are you fucking watching this guy? Are you actually listening to what he's saying? He started off his wee comments, I'm paraphrasing obviously in a very negative sense, but he started off his wee comments saying something along the lines of, people have to stay in their places, people have to stay in their positions, or something like that, which was a kind of perfectly obfuscated get-out clause. I think attending Peter Sutcliffe and Rose West's trials has probably taught him to couch any concessions in jargon to make them harder to understand, and that's definitely what it felt like. People should stay. I think it means the Celtic fans should have stayed in their seats, but it was worded in a way that it should Liam Scales not be playing at left back again? Is that what does he mean? The 4-2-2-2 formation Rangers, but they should maybe go back to a straight 4-4-2. It was, you didn't know he was talking about Celtic fans staying in their seats, but maybe he's talking about us getting onto the pitch as well. Who knows? But this is what I knew would happen around the full allocation being returned for this game. This is what I knew generally would happen with Martin O'Neill back in Scottish football, and this is why I had to do an 80-minute pod in my reaction to Sunday's non-football stuff, because I knew the ultimate aim and result would be the continuation of the official othering of Rangers by Celtic FC. Sounds like a grandiose and a kind of horrible thing to say, but it's just, this is what's doing my fucking nutting. Everybody's got to take ownership of their own shit. Celtic just bloody aren't, and it encourages Celtic fans. Not all Celtic fans, but the ones that we've got our nutters, they've got their nutters. We've got to kind of keep on top of that stuff, and Celtic are doing nothing about it, I would say. If anything, they're playing to the galleries to deflect from anything that's going on at their club. that their fans might have a problem with. I just want to compare it to Danny Rowe's presser, the first I'll hold that, park that. Remember what Martin O'Neill was asked and what he said in his Friday pre-match presser. We'll talk about the Rangers statement, and I don't want you can get the Rangers statement. It's on the official Rangers website. Go into the Rangers Twitter account, and you can see the link to it there. Just scroll down a few things, but we generalise basically as a club in terms of the disorder committed, but we condemn it unequivocally. There's a thanks going to staff and stewards and the emergency services for getting involved, and we demand the big takeaway is we're demanding an independent public inquiry, and we make it clear that we think there are other bodies who'll come under damning scrutiny if that was to go ahead. Basically, we're blaming everybody else. We're doing what about it? We're not blaming everybody else. We're condemning our fans. We're condemning anybody who got involved in the trouble, who caused trouble at that game. So that slaughters any Rangers fans, Union Bears, who went on at the park. But at the same time, they're saying, but we're not the only ones at this at all. So it calls out specifically the insulting of the memory of those lost in the 1971 Ibrox disaster, the Rangers statement. Actual vandalism. So, of course, that's allowed some of our green and white friends to start the war of equivalence. They're writing on our walls stuff of the same ilk that our fans sing at them. I mean, songs about Davy Cooper dying, songs about glory and the death of Davy Cooper, they don't really make me want to sing the Billy Boys. It's you're a cunt or you're not. It's as simple as that. But maybe Rangers could have been as specific in their statement with some of our noxiousness on Sunday. The songs that were getting sung last week, the full song sheet was coming out from both ends. But just to confirm, doing that maybe just would confirm that we as a club are indeed concentrating on getting our own house in order, while also making sure that anybody else responsible for what went wrong is brought to boot. But threatening jail and lifetime bans for Rangers fans that were on the pitch at the start of the statement, that's covering that, and then someone would imagine that's covering the nastiness of our own fans to a kind of effective extent. But it's clear from the Rangers statement that they take on board and we've done wrong. Maybe could have done with stating a few more things that we got wrong while being so specific about what Celtic fans had done. But at the same time, they make it pretty clear that the SFA have pressured them into giving that allocation to Celtic. They're not making it clear, but they're certainly allowing for us to interpret as they're blaming the SFA for allowing that allocation to be given to Celtic. When everybody, I don't know how many, I must admit, every time I mentioned that, and it being an upcoming game, I mentioned this. The Celtic fans are too overexcited. That's not a tautology. They're overexcited. They're too excited about this, about getting this full allocation back. They're seeing it as a victory. It's a political thing. It's a celebration in itself. It was always going to go off. So we knew, everybody knew, and so why didn't the SFA do something about it? Why didn't the police do something about it? I just can't help thinking that the police. This is conspiracy stuff. This is just me talking the hole in my head here, but it felt as if the police were deliberately not getting involved and were letting it go tits up. And I'm not trying to excuse Rangers fans for that. I'm talking in terms of Celtic fans getting in, through the turnstiles, doubling up and that through the turnstiles, and having it dangerously over-occupied the away end at Ibrox. All the different things that were happening. They were kettling Celtic fans before the game in really uncomfortable fashion. I think the police just wanted it all to go tits up so they could just easily justify never having that size of away support there again. Don't have the resources to. We've got to pay for it when we're having the heavy police presence at a game, but they don't have the resources these days. You can hardly get anybody to come to your house if it's fucking burgled. So I don't see how they're managing to police. As I say, it's 1/100th of the population attends an Old Firm game. At least 1/100th of the population of Scotland attends an Old Firm game. You've obviously there's almost nobody left of working age to come and police the thing and steward it. So it's a bit of a problem for the police, and if there's a rammy at one of them, it's almost worth it to make sure we don't have to have another one with a full support there. But it's quite clear that Celtic are trying to blame us for they're hoping the away supporters are banned from now on, and they can go, that was Rangers that did that, their nastiness. It's just we were just tiptoeing through the orange lilies. I don't mean it's against Celtic supporters, except those who did come on the park looking for trouble the other day. Some horrific stuff going on, but I mean it against Celtic FC, the organisation of the club. Just now, we're being called Neanderthals for attacking Celtic fans, goading us for a fight, spitting on our fans, and I won't even go into the whole thing, spitting on disabled fans or whatever, but utterly wrecking our stadium. Anybody who's met me, anybody who knows me at all knows we all Rangers supporters love their stadium. Every football fan is proud of their home stadium. It's their home, their footballing home. But I take such pride in Ibrox, just the architecture of it and the rebuilding of it, and that kind of amateur enthusiast for details about the building of Ibrox and the state. But I'm not saying we knew that at full time that the Celtic fans had been wrecking the thing, had been wrecking the inside of the stand, inside the Brimley stand. I'm not saying that, and that's what inspired anybody to go on the park. I think that was covered in the Heart and Hand podcast as well. Sorry if I'm repeating that, but just going to fucking grow up, Celtic, and take ownership of this. The fact you're actually writing stuff on the walls. So, I mean, it's happened at Parkhead as well. We are supporters in the away section, no doubt about lots of stickers and that, or no get slammed in seats and stuff like that. But you've got to take ownership, some sort of ownership, or this is only going to get worse. You death wish weirdos, you. Fourth tier, 15 years of Celtic winning everything. So I grew up. I fell out with folks that are associated with Heart and Hand and what have you. I fell out with all sorts of Rangers supporters. I did a lot of abuse. I used to do a blog and stuff like that, and I would do articles. So when Saturday comes, just giving it, come on, we're all the same. Let's not be other than Celtic fans. Let's not be being bastards, but it's all sectarian things, nonsense, and nah. I mean, it's very real, but we need to get through this. And I would always go for Rangers before I'd ever go for Celtic. You know, because I know what it looks like coming from me. Having a go at Celtic coming from a Rangers fan, but I maybe naively thought that after down to the fourth tier, and it was within the 15 years now watching Celtic winning practically everything, it's like that's Cutaway and Family Guy where they're talking about slavery, the end of slavery in America, and it's the guy just taking the shackles, the key, releasing it. I'm not laughing at that. It's the absurdity that they're pointing out. The guy takes the shackles off a slave at the end, the official end of slavery, and just goes, "So be cool. That's it. So that's it. Done." That's what I feel like, maybe naively. But certainly some of the abuse I've been getting from people who I eventually have to delete. I always end up deleting them. But you try to engage at first. This week is just, the Ibrox disaster doesn't matter compared to the British Army going into Northern Ireland and Bloody Sunday. And you're an idiot for you're supporting imperialism if you're naive. It's honest, the fucking wise fool telling you stuff they think you don't know, and these whizzing tones, and that shit can be reversed. There's not even what about it. It's just self-justification. But I get it. All the stuff we say and sing, all the things that we shout, the sectarian stuff over the years, but I spent my whole life fighting all that kind of other than Celtic fans, and for the last 25 years I've been hearing hysterical garbage from Celtic FC, which drives a wedge between fans, and drives the wedge that's already there further between Rangers and Celtic fans. It gets serious trickle-down effects for society. I always call out any bullshit on our side too, but if our fans ever invaded the Celtic Park pitch, oh my God, my favourite... I mean, stuff we all experience. I've been told the famine song, which is horrible, is like kind of making the hissing gas noise made by neo-Nazis, opposition fans of Ajax and Spurs because of their Jewish heritage or Jewish associations. This whole thing that folk were getting... I mean, as a Celtic fan that used to work with me, he was laughing at me, and he's going, "That fucking Maris Piper throwing at my nut the other day." The Rangers supporters going to Park and throwing fucking potatoes at folk. And he's saying, and he's eventually, that's like a Zyklon B canister getting thrown at the Jewish supporters. Fair enough, okay. I've had a guy leaning into, but the most sinister stuff, I've had a guy leaning into me I worked with, and I played fives with, and telling me, what was it, Protestant women are good for practicing on. Protestant women are only good for practicing on. And I just come back to him and I'm going, well, that's fun enough, that's how I feel about Catholic men. And I'm no Protestant and half my family's Catholic. And you just have a go back at folk, and that you just go to your own shite. I've experienced all the kind of creepy backward shite associated with this game, and I remember being at a wedding. It was a really good friend of ours, and she married a Celtic fan. He's a good guy. He's top kind of medicine guy. I'll not get into it, and big Celtic man, and all the tables were named after various Celtic players at the wedding and all that. And this is something we've known since uni. So we go there up to the wedding. It's a great day. But I was sitting at the wedding, and I remember were names, the wee name cards are on your place names on the. And somebody at the table sent to me, "We knew you'd be a Rangers fan." So how's that? It says, because of your name, Alexander Anderson. My name is Alexander. And it's like, it's that Billy Connolly thing I think about, when folk have, which is, I've always thought was brilliant. The thing about, you could tell the Masons are Protestants because their first name and their Christian name and their surname they both sound like surnames, Like Brown McMaster at Partick Thistle's the one that always jumps to mind, funnily enough. When Billy Connolly used to pretend he was a Partick Thistle fan, but Partick Thistle now. But Alexander Anderson, maybe that's. But like my dad's Protestant. I'm not Protestant at all. I was never christened. My dad is Church of Scotland. But his dad, I'm like the fifth Alexander Anderson. I don't know because there's any family fortune or anything like that. It's fucking boring when it comes to the names. No very imaginative. But the 3 or 4 before that are all Catholic. I'm my whole back. Both my grandfathers are Catholic. And it's just like, fuck's sake, mate. Would you grow up, in that same wedding? I remember going into the bar to get my round in, or get the kitty and get the drinks in, and a group of boys all started singing the Boys of the Old Brigade, like at me, but not looking at me, like Jesus Christ, it's quite a compliment in that. But my favourite one was the one about the you knew you're a Protestant, and these are idiots. They're idiots to other Celtic fans. They're idiots. Never mind the whole Catholic thing. They're idiots to anybody who knows. And I've people I know on the Rangers side of things say some fucking disgusting things to me because of my Catholic parts of my family, and just horrible. An arsehole is just an arsehole. We just need folk. What fucking chance we have when one actual club? There's only 2 clubs involved in this, and there's only one club is encouraging such garbage, taking zero responsibility, seeing it as a kind of a corporate necessity to play to these kind of lowest common denominator galleries. It used to be it didn't matter why you were on the pitch, unless it was a matter of life and death. You just shouldn't be on the pitch as a spectator. I knew it would get rancid and creepy when Martin O'Neill returned. It's just hysterical. Back in 2003, the whole stuff about Celtic having to play at Ibrox on a Sunday, after playing a European semi-final on a Thursday night, and then we eventually, after Martin O'Neill was away again, we had to do it twice. We had to go to Parkhead twice within a European semi-final, the same competition. 5 years later, that's the kind of fucking shite that just isn't helping anybody in a game that doesn't need any ratcheting up. I wasn't wrong, and I also knew that if we invaded the Parkhead pitch in euphoria, if we ever invaded the Parkhead pitch, albeit in euphoria, just celebrating a great victory in the last minute in the league that guarantees Celtic won't win the league or something later in this season at Parkhead, it would be treated as if it'd be treated like the sack of Wexford or something like that, relived. We'd be like Oliver Cromwell. As far as the Celtic support were concerned, it's just bampots coming onto your pitch. Doesn't matter who you support. It's a fucking intimidation. And I'm getting people's this whole thing doing the rounds. I've noticed it's a list of all the riots Rangers have been involved in over the years. Going back to, I think, Wolverhampton in 1960. I didn't know we rioted in there, did we? Did we riot in Wolverhampton? I knew about Newcastle in '69, but it's just, they're scum, they're thugs. Some of the fucking stuff I saw coming for the Celtic end last week was this wasn't choir boys. So this was pretty horrific stuff. I think the guy from Nil by Mouth's got a point. It was just kids really on the park. Last week, it was just kids on the park. But if you can't calm this down, if we don't see Celtic coming in there and just getting ripped into their troublemakers, this is Danny Rule's press. We've had euphoria of the Hibs fans, euphoria of Motherwell fans. Again, this I talked about it during the week there, and Heart and Hand mentioned it in that podcast I was citing from them. I think it was out on Thursday nights as well. The Hibs game, it was genuine euphoria. I as I said the other night, I thought it was only natural almost the Hibs fans would invade the pitch after everything they'd been through, the way they won the game, their history in the Scottish Cup. It was just, almost, I'd have been almost disappointed if they hadn't invaded the pitch with euphoria in that game. But it turned straight away to them battering their players and coming for us. And in the Motherwell thing the season before that, when it was hardly any Rangers supporters in the stadium, and I think as Cammy and Andy McGowan was saying in that podcast in Heart and Hand, I said that nobody says, well done the Rangers support for holding back. There was a riot, there was trouble, Rangers fans were there, therefore they're the miscreants, they're the ones that have started it. We've been through so much shit. I put it another way the other night, I was saying on my podcast, considering we've only won 3 trophies, and the way we have lost trophies, the horrific shit we've experienced in a football sense, And that's what it was last week as well. There's no doubt about it. The way we lost the game, the 2 weeks in a row, it should never fucking happen. 2 Old Firm games. So there should be a month between each one. There shouldn't be a chance for it. We should go back to like an 18-team league and we play each other twice a season. Whatever. There shouldn't be the chance to be this many Old Firm games in a season. 2 league games, leaving you the chance to, because we almost inevitably meet in the cups. 2 league games, leaving you the maximum chance of having 2 cup games on top of that, and therefore 4 games a season maximum. When it gets to 5, threatening to be 6, no, that it's just ridiculous. It builds up the tension. It gets too claustrophobic, and everybody wants to explode. Being locked in the same game with no goals and lots of near chances for 120 minutes, and then it goes to penalties, and this. You come on our pitch, just get off our fucking pitch. After everything we've been through, I think we've taken it pretty well. If we were going to be rabid, kind of, let's riot every time the result doesn't go against us, we'd probably have about a dozen riots a season since 2012. It's a horrible, horrible othering of our supporters by Celtic on an official basis. They need to take responsibility, and we compare what Martin O'Neill was asked. I don't like doing this. Because it plays to stereotype, bitter Rangers fan, etc. But hopefully you've watched enough of my podcast to know this isn't typical. Danny Rowe's first question he was asking, his pre-match presser, it's from Rahman, big Rahman Bargwash of STV, who I love. I think Rahman's great fun. He's a dead chilled out guy and all that. I think he's quite funny at times as well. He's a kind of staple of the Scottish sports media. He's a bit of a hero. I don't know what the hell was happening yesterday, or on Friday, sorry, at the pre-match presser. It was like he was the only guy there. Like he was covering for about 25 different guys from different organisations, maybe away in their holidays. Rahman is a fella who did the record. I'm going out on Friday night. I've got an engagement party or something. Could you ask a quick? I'm going out Thursday night, so I'm going so wrecked I can't get to the pre-match press first thing on Friday morning. Could you just ask a couple of questions for me? Just ask Danny Rule about, is he disgusted and ashamed to be associated with the most vile club in European football? That'll do is fine. Right, well do, mate, well do. But it was like, instead of Danny Rule's pre-match presser answers, which weren't very interesting and were quite good, I think, but weren't particularly interesting or whatever, I usually deal with in my preview pods, I will just go with the questions that he was actually asked. First question, the opening question to and I say the one from Martin O'Neill was a lot going on this week. Your joy at going through in the cup versus the scenes at full time. The scenes at full time. That's how you reflect on that. And I think it was Martin O'Neill was just caught up in the joy of the moment, just going to celebrate with the supporters. And I think that's actually. He does do that. I remember him going to celebrate with the supporters when they get beat at Ibrox. He's got Neil Lennon, he's got his arm round about him. Just guys, fucking the abuse he's getting. That's now the subject. And I used to always say, when Celtic get beat, when Rangers get beat in Old Firm games, when Rangers get beat, we get beat. When Celtic get beat, they change the subject. And there used to be a hell of a lot of that going on. In fairness, it's us now. We get beat, the subject gets changed. It becomes about not only did they get beat, but they're scum as well. So. Danny Rowe gets asked by Rahman. First question. Danny, in some quarters, last weekend's disorder has been described as shameful, awful, disgraceful. How would you describe it now you've seen the images? So straight away Rahman's in, and it was the tone was heavy, very accusatory. Are you ashamed? And he's made up those. It's been described as shameful, awful, disgraceful. I'd imagine it's him that's described it that way as well, Rahman, in some of his pieces in STV perhaps. But he's asked, like, demanding an answer. No, are you ashamed? And we know last week that he did go straight down the tunnel, Danny Rule. Wasn't he hanging about? So in his post-match interviews, I never really saw it. Didn't know what was going on. His job's head coach. It's not even manager. His job's no diplomat. It's just head coach. But he's getting asked this, and he comes about with a nice diplomatic answer. Second question, also from Rahman. Did it open your eyes to another element of this fixture? The disgusting. And if you just went, the Celtic fans are wanks, by the way. That'd been quite good. But no, he's like, I don't know about that, and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember. It was so deliberately neutral and bland. On goes Rahman for question number 3. Now, the hacks usually get 2 questions each maximum at these pressers. The club is backing calls for an independent review. What does the club hope comes out of that? What does the club hope comes out of that? To Danny Rule, who is our head coach, and maybe that's our fault for not putting forward Andrew Kavanagh or whoever's, acting as CEO these days or whatever like that, and Danny Rule but he's the head coach. But how's the club, what the club hoping comes out of that. And Daniel, again, really kind of bland, diplomatic, quite a nice answer without getting too involved. He just kept saying how he thinks the Old Firm, the atmosphere was really nice last week. It was really good, and it was good having a big Celtic support there. It's been fucking superb in terms of diplomacy. 4, and he goes, and this is he prefaces this, Rahman, by going, "This is my last one, Dan. I know I've gone too far here. I'm going to now have double the questions anybody usually gets at a presser. Are you concerned that future allocations will be cut or completely removed?" Now, I heard this at Martin O'Neill's presser, and it was somebody just trying to get him to say, "Please, going to say Rangers fans have ruined this fixture. Please, going to say Rangers fans have ruined this. They've cut the allocation forever." Who the fuck wants to go? I don't want to go to Celtic Park. I hate Old Firm games. I hate them. I don't revel in this shit. It's fucking horrible. This. And it's not a crime. The best thing, if you just think last week, just make you think, fuck a whole lot of this shit. And that's the idea, I think, to make one side back down and just pack it in completely. But are you concerned that future allocations will be cut or completely removed? And Danny Rule, just again, he's running out of ways. He just wants to talk football. He knows he's got to be a bit of a diplomat. He knows he's got to be a bit of an ambassador for Rangers, and he does really well talking a second language. And he eventually says something about, we'll maybe find out what the consequences. He just mentions the word consequences in a totally neutral way, because it's Rahman's asking him about consequences. Do you think there's going to be a bad? We'll maybe see what happens before I start talking too much about the consequences. I can't remember about. But this is Rahman, who's already pushed it with an extra question. He comes in and goes, "When you say consequences, what do you mean, Danny?" When you say, it's like he's leaping on it. The tone was fucking disgusting. I know this is what hacks are supposed to do. They want to get the big headline and whatever, but it was like the thirst for, and also kind of lecturing. You say, you justify yourself, young man. When you say consequences, what do you mean about consequences? Who are you threatening with consequences? You try to kill a Celtic supporter? Is that what you want to do? You're going to execute all Celtic fans from now on? Danny obviously means just to be as diplomatic and non-committal as possible. You get that sanctimonious, rabble-rousing tone the fuck away from him. This is the last thing we need after. It's a 40-minute press conference in total. 40-minute pre-match presser. And Rahman has had 4 questions, a supplementary question, and then he goes, "How's your squad looking for Sunday? How's your squad shaping up for Sunday, Danny?" And you can see Dan Rowe thinking, fucking football, I forgot I'm actually involved with football. What do you mean? What's a squad? What's that up? Injuries. And then at the end of the press conference, Rahman comes in again. I think he gets the nod. I think he gets the official nod from the Rangers press person to have another question, to have the last question. Last question of the whole presser. Danny, you mentioned 9 cup finals. Because Daniel was doing his whole thing about we've only got 9 league games left. I think we can win them all. We're going to have to try and win them all if we want to win the league, get something out this season. You mentioned 9 cup finals. What gives you confidence you can win these 9 games when you've dropped points at Motherwell, Livingston and Celtic in recent times? Or 2 Celtic in recent. And that's one for the Rangers fans. That's what a lot of Rangers supporters are asking that. 9 cup finals, we've got a terrible record of late. We're form's going off a cliff. We're just drawing all the time, dropping 2 points almost every game. That's us at the cup as well. But the cheek, I think, to go to that kind of tone, that justify yourself, the kind of sanctimonious, kind of prurient almost tone of the question after the disorder last week. This is the stuff that causes it. This is the stuff that feeds it. The demand, you think you're going to win games, you can. It's fucking horrible. I found it properly out of order, and it's at the heart of ramping up the tensions here. And it was just a horrible thing altogether. Rangers have put a statement out. Danny Rule is the head coach, pushed to get somebody from Rangers to answer questions, somebody else to answer these kind of questions. It's no Danny Rule's purview to cover this sort of stuff, but it was a horrible thing. How you doing, folks? You're still here, thanks. This is your Fat Egg Podcast, the podcast which thinks it's countercultural because it wears earrings, it smokes weed and hasn't washed in a fortnight, but I couldn't actually tune a banjo to save itself, and has never read Das Kapital because, well, Rangers are on the telly. My name's Alec Anderson, and I am 1 year older than Davy Weir, but 1 year younger than Paolo Maldini, and the two of them together, I weigh the same as them. I weigh the same as the two of them put together because they've kept themselves trim. Fair to me, they've kept themselves trim, but it's quite a thing to do. And I'm just going to do the briefest, most perfunctory of all actual pre-match previews. I've got you here under a misapprehension that this is a preview for the St Mirren game, but it'll have started by the time you see this anyway, so it's not. But now's my kind of Colin Greenwood Colin Greenwood, Reckoner for Radiohead. Just going to get the fingers. I've got the fingers in the frets, the necks, the strings, the bass. Turn of minimal time. The thrum of kind of minimal time, and the experiences at the end of that track. The minimal time during which he does what he loves. Colin Greenwood. The track's it's almost over. It's just going to the last phase, the last phrase, the last verse, whatever you want to call it, the last chorus. That's when Colin Greenwood gets to get involved in Radiohead's Reckoner, and I'm going to try and post a link to that in the description as well. The In the Basement rendition of it. I'm finally right at the end of this podcast, getting to do the thing that I love, which is talking about football, about a game full of possibilities, a game that is unplayed, vor dem Spiel, as opposed to the horrible one you attended last Sunday. I'm hoping I've now got that out of my system, folks. I think for us, for Rangers, we have to be Wim Janssen's Celtic in 1998. As I said, there was a striking parallels there. We don't seem to be motoring at all just now, but we're kind of hanging about there. We will be, still maybe 9 points behind Hearts tomorrow. We're already points behind Celtic as well. 4 points will be behind Celtic. We can't catch up with either of them just by winning tomorrow's game, but you don't want to get any further away from it. You want to stay on their back heels, and it's all a response, of course, to the last 2 horrible weekends at Ibrox. And the horrible weekend before that as well at Livingston. St Mirren are third bottom. They've got 6 points and a game in hand behind Aberdeen. They're third bottom, so it means that they're just... I've not checked how far we are from the actual the relegation playoff spot. But they've only won 1 game in 2026, 1 league game in 2026. They've only won 2 league games since winning the League Cup in December. St Mirren, I say that I noticed they're 6 points and a game in hand behind Aberdeen, because it's Aberdeen to whom their manager Stephen Robinson has just gone. I think he was manager for Aberdeen today at Pittodrie or whatever they were playing, but they've lost their manager in the build up to this game, so it's really weird. Apart from anything else, Stephen Robinson, he deserves a chance to get a shot at a big club, Stephen Robinson, and he might get one if he does well at the Aberdeen job. But he's managed to piss off both sets of supporters, because Aberdeen fans are like, oh great, we're getting the manager of the one team, one of the 3 teams we're above in the league. He's arriving here, and we know how they got on. The last time they got a manager from St Mirren, how he got on, he's now at Dundee United. But the St Mirren supporters are like, oh, you're going to... So you've spent the last 2 or 3 months trying to catch Aberdeen, and now you're gone there to help them get away from us. It's a bit of a weird one. And typical of Rangers, it's not as straightforward as we think. They've beaten Celtic at Hampden this year, St Mirren. They have won the League Cup. They're the only trophy holders this season in Scotland. And that 1 league win they've had since then, they've had this year, I think they beat Dundee United or somebody just after they won the League Cup in the league. And then they're back in the Scottish Cup semi-finals. They've done well in the Scottish Cup. They're in the semi-finals of that. So, and they've got Celtic in it, so they're going for a double over Celtic at Hampden this season. But the game that they won in the league in 2026 was against Hearts, the team at the top of the league. So you've got this really weird mix where Stephen Robinson is a trophy winner with St Mirren. He's created history with St Mirren, winning the League Cup with them. I think it's only the fifth or 6th major honour. They've won 3 Scottish Cups. Is that they won 3 League Cups or 2? That maybe only their 2nd League Cup. With 5 major honours, but it's a major honour's a rare thing for a St Mirren manager. So it's quite the achievement. Even Alec Ferguson didn't win a major honour when he was manager of St Mirren, so he's done that. So he's an absolute legend. He did it this season, but they've been so bad in the league since then that is it going to be kind of new manager bounce, or get rid of the old manager bounce for St Mirren? They've put together a kind of mishmash of the remaining coaching staff, including Jamie Langfield, to take over temporarily tomorrow. But is it going to be that, or is it a case of we've got the manager that we've all played for a few seasons now, who's done so well for us getting top 6 finishes? He's gone and we're in complete disarray. I don't think they're going to be greatly phased. They might actually be a bit better than usual. St Mirren, and our recent record is terrible. But watching the game back against Celtic, we were pretty good. We should be decent enough if we can maintain that level. that we had against Celtic, and we should do that now if we're treating it like 9 cup finals, and the proof will be in the pudding tomorrow. We should be able to blow them away, and we're a decent team in a crazy season, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility for Rangers to actually win this league. I would bloody love it. Right at this point in time, I'm actually hoping Hearts beat Kilmarnock, so at least we'll get the guarantee we can, we'll try and catch Hearts on our own steam if we can. The main thing is to make sure Celtic don't fucking beat them. Celtic don't win the league as well as the Scottish Cup this season, but aye. A side who's actually been in the cup final this season, St Mirren, and they may reach another. Remember when we won the league, the last time we won the league in 2021, it was a saint from a city, a town, a conurbation beginning with the letter P, who won both of the cup competitions. Jim Goodwin link in there as well. Not that he won it, but he put us out in the League Cup that season. So St Mirren could go either way. Like my starting 11 for tomorrow, Diamandi is the only injury, the major injury, so I'd go with the same team that started the second half last Sunday, except for I would have Gassama in for Scott. I don't think Gas is as bad as people are making out. He's no great. He could do a lot better. But maybe Scott Volson just needs a wee rest. Bring him on second half. Hopefully things are going well. Maybe he could be the saviour. I don't know if he will be dropped. I think the manager quite likes him. And I can see why. And I think he's waiting for him just to come to the boil the same way he did with Chermiti. There's quality there. He kept persisting with Chermiti. I know a lot of times it's because he didn't have any choice, really. But he persisted with him even when he had other strikers at his disposal. So I think he's probably not going to do the same thing with Scott Volson. I would just go with Jack Butland in goals. Dujon Sterling, we're hearing that Diamandi's only injury, but I don't Dujon Sterling to play 3 games. We're getting a week off between games now, should be okay. I'd have Dujon Sterling at right back, Romans stays at left back, and I would stay with Giga, who was really good last week. John Shooter wasn't. Stay with Giga and Fernandez as our centre halves. It's going to be Nico Raskin and Chukwani, and Chukwani was great in the second when he came on at half time last week against Celtic. So I'd have the two of them as a sitting 2 in midfield. We'll go with the 4-3-2 or the 4-4-2, whatever way you want to see it, the formation. And I would have, as I say, Gassama and Mikey Moore. And then in front of them, it's going to be Nadiri and Big Chermiti. And we need Chermiti. We might need him to score a few of the chances he got last week. He's just got the Goal of the Month competition award. If Chermiti scores against somebody like St Mirren, particularly if he gets a couple of goals, particularly if we win the game, what a difference that will make for the rest of the season, for the remaining 8 games. That will kind of double up in the benefit of actually winning the bloody game. You're also getting Chermiti can now score again, and he's getting, we've won 10 goals by that point. He's towards double figures. It justifies a bit of the price we've paid for him. That first goal he scored against Celtic justified the entire price we paid for him. But it would just give us a confidence. We've got a cutting edge now when we go to play these teams. Just fucking go for it. Steamroller them again, Rangers. Go for it. I think I would go with that team anyway. Score prediction, I want to say we're going to win 3-0. I feel positive we'll win 3-0, but the way my week's been going, the way Rangers have been playing, the way life tends to go after these games, it also wouldn't surprise me if we drew 0-0. I just don't want, if we're going to draw, just don't do that thing where we're 2-0 up and then we can see a goal at the start of the second half and we're 1-0 up and we can't get that second goal. We can't get the killer goal, and you're just waiting for St Mirren, after all their trauma this week, get more and more confident. They're lumping balls into our box and it's a sclaff and comes off somebody's backside in the last minutes of the game, and Celtic have basically won everything in the space of 2 weeks. Don't do that. Just get pumped. Do you know what I mean? Just get pumped. Don't go 2-0 and then fight back to 2 each and whatever. We had a clean sheet last week. Get the same defence out there and we should be able to see St Mirren off. It's not a venue at which we play great football, which anybody plays great football. We don't have we don't have to have our troubles to seek when we go there, but just step it up a notch, Rangers. Step it up a notch last week. Respond to this. Well, Celtic did well last week. That's football. And Danny Rule reminded Roman Bargwash, his final answer today was of the listing on that pre-match press on Friday was listing all the teams that we have beat this season. So let's go. Wim Janssen, Mark II, Rangers' own Wim Janssen. Let's get this kind of boring. It would really piss everybody off. We'd get slagged rotten for eternity. We only won the league because everybody else fell away. That would be fucking great. Let's just do that. And this podcast is dedicated to all human beings. I'll talk to you after game, troops.